Hello, rockers. Pencil-necked Fantano is lying to you. I'm just kidding. Fantano does not have a pencil neck. It is much larger. It's at least a pen or a Sharpie. Anyways, that was just a joke to get you reeled in. But he talks about Finn McKenty and the Punk Rock MBA. He says the Punk Rock MBA lied about everything. That thumbnail's not necessarily true because he's been transparent. He said this since day one. He never proclaimed, I'm a fan of this music. I've watched a lot of the punch, pow, pow. I've watched a lot of the videos from the Punk Rock MBA, and at no point did he ever say, oh, I love System of a Down, I love Limp Bizkit. He's openly says in like every video, like, yeah, I don't even like this stuff, and I kind of hate it. And like, you guys are stupid for wanting to watch videos about this. And to a certain extent, if you keep rewatching the same video where he's just reading off Wikipedia again and again, you are kind of stupid. Or you just like watching it. Honestly, I take that back. You might just like watching someone tell you things you already know, because I do too. Why do you rewatch a movie you like? Why do you listen to an album you like? I take this back. I disagree, Finn McKenty. I disagree. But I don't think you lied ever. And Finn's always been honest, open, and transparent when it comes to not liking these kinds of music. Now, Fantano, I think, I'm sure you're a lovely guy, but I think probably when it comes to like life philosophy, artistic philosophy, and artistic taste, I tend to disagree with a lot of your takes. I don't like most of the stuff that you rate highly, and you don't like most of the stuff that I rate highly. And so nothing wrong with that. All good. Respect that. Love that. But just to say, I think we have different viewpoints, clearly, and different ways of looking at things. Now, with this, he lied about everything. I don't think he lied about anything. And second off, you go that he got into this for the wrong reasons. I watched this video like earlier today, but I remember you saying he got into things for the wrong reasons. And I think he got into things for probably not intelligent reasons, and it probably doesn't make for a good strategy. But I don't think it was the wrong. I think this moralization that people tend to add to things doesn't need to be there. And if you do, it confuses your own understanding of why you think things were bad or stupid or smart or whatever to say, and when I'm saying bad, I mean contextually within the idea that when you're looking at like, okay, let's just get into it. The idea is that Finn was building up this channel, the Punk Rock MBA. Here's what it is. The Punk Rock MBA. This guy, Finn McKenty, who's a successful marketing guy, he goes, okay, let me build a successful YouTube channel where I make really good thumbnails that say the rise and fall of blank, the rise and fall of nu metal. And it's just basically reading the Wikipedia page of Limp Bizkit and just like narrating with like clips, just making like a YouTube documentary. And then at the end, he'd be like, what do you guys think? Write something in the comments. Peace. And he would do that like a lot. And half the time near the end, he would just start going like, I didn't like this band. This is my 80th video I've made on Limp Bizkit. Why do you guys keep watching it? And he got a little like, I think probably like just tired of all of probably the lower IQ fans from these people. And there's nothing wrong with being low IQ and being a fan of nu metal. I am high IQ and a fan of nu metal. So there's nothing wrong there. I'm also a Sigma lifter. Anyways, that's beyond the point. The whole point is he got into a thing and he actually hates kind of like music and stuff, or at least that kind of music. And he never said he liked that kind of music. He often would express that, like, I'm not a fan of this, so I can't tell you if the records got worse because people says it got worse. And so you got to take their word for it as someone who's not a fan of it. And so that was kind of always the position he came from. So he never lied, but he did this all as a way to make a bunch of money off a successful channel. But then he's just like, let me just run the channel into the ground. When you're just like, you could have just... So basically, I would say he should have just sold the channel to someone who likes punk rock, who would love to make these videos, who would buy the channel and the editing and his editing team and whoever it is, and buy the whole infrastructure. Because if you think of his channel like a little TV network that he built up with tons of viewers and a huge audience of millions of people, he could have just sold that to someone and got a cash exit. Like if he really was totally cynical, which he, Fantano alleges, right? I think Finn McKenty should have just been like, okay, for a couple $100,000, someone buy this off me because it makes a couple $100,000 a year. You should just buy this asset off me. It's not that hard to make these videos where you just read off Wikipedia and you put old concert footage and you just caption it. And it's just like, it's easy to make. So that's where I think it was stupid. But in general, I think what Fantano's point is, why did you make a channel on something you didn't like when you could have made a channel on literally anything on YouTube when you started, like 6-7 years ago, on any subject, any topic? You know, I mean, you could have made it on fashion. You could have made it on branding and marketing and skateboarding and these things. And you could have showed that you built your channel talking about the things you like talking about. And then at no point would you have said, okay, I'm done with this. I'm just going to throw it away. You would have just had a channel where you like talking about the things. And so now you have the right audience. You have people who are looking at marketing and like, you know, or wanting to find out about marketing. So if you wanted to go like he is now, going to LinkedIn and working on helping people build personal brands, it's like you could have just built your audience of people on there. And so Fantano says he got into it for the wrong reasons, which was money versus passion. I just think doing something for money and at the expense of passion when you could have done both at the exact same time, I think doing both at the same time is just conducive to you doing a better job and making more money and having a more fulfilled life. So I think that's probably a more enjoyable route, and you have more positivity because you like what you're doing every day instead of building yourself a job you don't like. And then you don't even sell the thing off. You just let it run into the ground, which is like the silliest thing to me because like this isn't a business where you've got to like train someone to take it over or like sell it to a big company and like there's a lot of moving parts. It's like, dude, it's a channel with an email address attached to it, and you make videos that are simple that like you can just show someone how to edit it. You could literally get AI nowadays to edit your entire video and script the entire video for Punk Rock MBA. Part of me thinks like maybe it makes sense for me to make videos like that, but I think I'm way better off the cuff anyways. And I don't want to edit. I'm friggin' lazy, dude. I'm friggin' bro. But so I think Fantano goes, that's the wrong reasons. I just think it's unwise. I just think it's strategically kind of like doesn't align your incentives and your rewards in a way that makes sense. I just like if you don't like doing something, but you're doing it for money, but you could also do something you do like and get money. Why wouldn't you do that? I like talking. I like popping off of the mouth. I like posting videos. I like doing this whole thing. And I like talking about rock music. So I'm going to do that. I like making rock music. I like talking rock music. I like bringing back rock. I'm here to bring back rock. That's all I'm ever doing. Check out my band, Black Licorice. We're going to have a cover of Witchfinder General coming out soon. We have a Devo cover. Okay, we have a cover of Whip It by Devo, but it's called Witch It. Okay, that's Queens of the Stone Age's first album. If you like Queens of the Stone Age, you're going to like us. Anyways, there's also Melophobia by Cage the Elephant. We don't sound as much like that album, but we sound like the earlier albums of Cage the Elephant where it's more punk and rock, which if you click this video, the Punk Rock MBA, you might like that. And also Franz Ferdinand. I love Franz Ferdinand, and they're great. Also Primus. I love Primus. Primus sucks. They're great. I'm also thinking of doing an Agent Orange cover. That's the band that gives you the song Bloodstains. I'm thinking of doing a cover of My Bloody Valentine from before they like went all shoegaze. But some of the early stuff, I was like, oh, that's cool if it's, was done with a less shoegaze approach and was just more of an alternative rock, like Pixies type of style. Anyway, so yeah, if you like anything like that, if you like the White Stripes, you like the Strokes, you like the early Arctic Monkeys, you like the Black Keys, you like the Pixies, you like your Nirvana, you like Van Halen, Purple Haze, you like Jimi Hendrix, you like anything rock, really, stuff that Fantano doesn't seem to be a huge fan of, and stuff that Finn McKenty doesn't seem to be a huge fan of. I guess ironically, you should probably follow me and listen to me. Bringing back rock single-handedly. No, hopefully not single-handedly, but for now, kind of. Woo! I hope we get some other people doing this. Anyways, I should really reach out to Justin Hawkins. He does great work. And he's already famous. He knows famous people. He knows them. He knows famous people. I wish I knew famous people, because then I could do this full time, and I could be a musician, and I could bring back rock. We could be selling at stadiums. Anyways, I just had my friend Maya on my podcast. She loves the band Goose, and she put me onto this band Eggy, and another band called Disco, and another band called Dogs in a Pile, and they're all like really cool. And totally off topic from this Fantano thing. Not really, actually. What is the relevance of rock these days, anyways? Is it for just like Finn McKenty to like make a cynical channel where he reads off Wikipedia and then all of the rock fan base gets hyped up for something and the energy goes nowhere, which is kind of like all these legacy bands do? It's like AC/DC, why don't you train AC/DC too and bring them to open up for you and play like a bunch of songs with you, so that as you start to like be like, okay, we're in our 90s, we physically can't play on stage anymore, you don't retire and the fans just disappear and go nowhere. There's AC/DC 2, the same way when Batman or Superman got too old, they didn't say, well, No more Superman. Sorry, Superman fans. They just recast with a different actor. Recast. Do that. And likewise, Finn McKenty, sell off your thing. You have this whole audience built. They got all hyped up, and now they're going nowhere. There's so little people talking about rock music or doing it in a way that isn't like completely um, disinteresting and devoid of execution, proper execution, such that Fantano is a place where even I like starting out would be like, oh, let me look, he's reviewing an album I like. And then he'd just be like, yeah, actually, I don't really have anything to say because like they like yelled or like they weren't like, like vegan, like, activists. So like it wasn't interesting to me and like culturally like wasn't relevant and like reemphasized like power structures, which like you can have like all sorts of social commentary, like views and opinions, but like, and I don't have a problem, and I'm open to have that. I'm open to everything, but not tied down to much in particular. Um, but all this is to say, just like when I'm talking about music, like take R. Kelly for example. It's like, okay, clearly don't endorse anything of R. Kelly. Like, yeah, I don't agree with anything he's done. But you can also be like, I believe I can fly. Like that's you're like, oh, it's a great song. And then like you hear about stuff and you're like, oh, like, okay, I don't like that guy, but I like that song. Like there's different things, right? Like if you found out like, I don't know, who is it who painted the Mona Lisa? I don't even remember anymore. Um, I would like to see if Salvador Dali did a version of the Mona Lisa. But anyways, whoever did the Mona Lisa, if you're like, oh yeah, also like it was actually Genghis Khan, and he like murdered a tenth of all the people on the planet, or a fifth or whatever, to the point that like, you know, there was too much carbon from all the dead bodies in the air that it caused a problem. Like you could say it was someone who's done these horrible like atrocities in history, but if they painted the Mona Lisa, it doesn't change the fact that the Mona Lisa looks like good. So all this is to say is even if you think that like, and I feel like, Fantano, like this was my perception a while ago, but it was that when I watched a video on like a record, he'd be like, yeah, they don't have like the right like views as me when it comes to like what they're doing and like why they're into music and like why they're doing it. They're not doing it for the right reasons. Same thing he says about Finn. I think it's the wrong point. Finn's, Finn's, it just he's kind of like throwing away an asset he's got built up, and it would be a better outcome for the rock community and a better outcome for him if he either had someone take it over and got a cut of the money going forward for the next couple of years, or if he sold it to someone and got the money up front, and then the rock community still has his place and the huge platform. Like rock's missing platforms to platform new bands and get stuff out there in long form, and like that's the problem. That's which is just weird about what Finn McKenty did in the Punk Rock NBA, the punk the Punk Rock NBA. It's not that he lied about everything. He didn't lie about anything, and he didn't get into it for the wrong reasons. Because if you take moralization and my ethics and your ethics out of it, you just say he just did something that just was not maximizing his own return on his time, and wasn't really a long-term sustainable thing for him. And then even then, he's letting this huge audience he has just go to waste. He's just letting it dissipate and disappear, which is unintelligent, which is just a not very smart business move. As someone who's trying to work with business people going forward, it doesn't it I think it hurts the case. And I think if Finn put someone else and had a replacement plan in place, that would be smarter. And that's the reason. But I think Fantano's critique, it's harder to want to empathize. I want to empathize at this point because I agree that, Finn McKenty is doing things that are probably like not what, if you looked at it from another angle and kind of looked at it from a couple different angles, you actually go like, wait a minute, I kind of would like to revise what I'm thinking of doing on this. Um, but that gets muddied because then you try and throw these moral aspersions and you're in it for the wrong reasons, and it's just wrong and it's just right. And so it's like if Fantano's like critiquing an album a lot of times, what I saw back in the day, like granted 7 years ago when I started watching stuff on YouTube about music, it'd be like, oh well, like they don't have the same right cultural impact or whatever. It's like, I don't know, it's like not interesting. And like, what's it saying? Is it moving anything forward? Is it new? It's like, I don't care. Is it good? Like you didn't even review the music. You reviewed the cultural impact of the art. You didn't review the actual work of art. You're like, well, the Mona Lisa was made by Genghis Khan. And he killed people, and it really reinforced like power structures that I think suck. And you're just like, okay, well, like now I don't want to like I feel like you bait and switched me. Like I thought you were going to give me an artistic, you know, evaluation. Instead, you just give me a cultural dissertation, and then your own moralization gets thrown in to just be like, and that's the answer. Thank you. Clap now. And you're just like, that's not effective communication. Like, even if I do agree with your ideas, which I don't even know all of his ideas, so I can't even say if I agree or disagree with these things. I don't think I agree with most people on most things just because um, I have my own opinions that I reach independently. Like you're like, what political party do you vote for? I'm like, I don't agree with any of them. Um, like you're like, yeah, because like I have views and like opinions and things, but even then I'm 22. Like I don't pretend to be like, oh yes, everything I think I know now is definitely going to be everything I think in 10 years or 20 years when I've lived more life, or when chemically I've got different things going on because my body's a different age. Like all this is to say is if you make everything about your moralization and your values and all this, and all you are is just like your moral aspersions, um, you're going to contradict yourself really quickly, and you're also not really adding anything because opinions are like a-holes, as they'd say. Opinions are like, or like your, rectums. Everyone has one, and hey, they're not that pretty, and no one wants to smell it. You know what I mean? No one's, you know what I mean? It's like everyone's got one, and it's not that useful for other people, to like, hear about it too much or see about it, and no one really wants to. And so it's just like, it's just kind of, it's a low information, it's a low, you're not communicating much, and basically there's not much to be gained from listening to your analysis of anything really if all you can add to it is, well, my morals right now say no and yes to these certain aspects of this, so blah. Because everyone's got their own moral compass, and even if like people largely agree with you, then all you're going to get is people who at the time agree with you until they substantially start to disagree or you disagree with them, because everyone's opinions are going to change. You're adding like not much actual value or enjoyment long term from people listening to what you have to think on things, which makes people subconsciously but also consciously just go like, oh, this guy doesn't really add anything, he just tells me what he thinks. And if you happen to disagree with me on something, it's probably going to make me just go, I don't even like this guy because all he's doing is telling me I'm a bad person because I disagree with him. So you're just like, okay, like they talk about like arguing to convince, right? And when you approach things from an angle of like, I just want to communicate to just be like, this is what I've observed. These are the things that make sense to me. What do you guys think? Like, that's like actually talking to someone, that's like actually communicating, as opposed to like just being like, no, this is what I think and you're wrong. Like when you approach a conversation, you're like, if this is where you're starting, what you think is the answer, and this is what I think is the answer, the real reality, the truth of like whatever we're talking about doesn't lie here or here. We're at point A or point B. It's somewhere in the middle. Even if I think it's like 99.999% close to me, and you think it's 99.999% close to you, still, we are going to, by having this discussion, we're going to move somewhere towards the middle, even if it's a little or if it's a lot. We're going to have more of an understanding than we did when we started. And if that's not the case, then there's like no reason to have the conversation, right? And so you want to talk with people with that approach, or at least that's what I like to do, or that's what I've seen be productive for other people and tend to lead to good outcomes. So in this case, if you're making videos, and really you look at the video as like it's a conversation, like I'm talking to you right now, right? If I'm talking to you and I just like yell at you and all I'm focused on is like I want to make you wrong and make me right, like I'm 100% right, you're 0% right. It's like, no, neither of us are 100% right, and probably neither of us are 0% right. Like it's just probably not the case. If you just like had to like look at it, you're like, what are the odds that you know everything and you're right about everything, and that I'm right about everything and I know everything and you're wrong about everything? Like neither of those is likely at all. They're actually like impossible, pretty much. And if we were right about everything, it makes more sense that it's because it's a guess rather than, and it's extremely lucky guesses, than it is like I have everything figured out at every moment the instant I ever hear things. It's like, you ever misspeak or mishear someone? It's like, yeah, you do. And so, likewise, when you approach things and you approach making a video or just voicing your opinions to other people, like when you're talking to people, you can approach it like, okay, you're here, I'm here, right? And somewhere in the middle, we approach this conversation by trying to be like, okay, this is my understanding. This is what I've seen. This is what makes sense to me. What have you seen? What makes sense to you? And what do you think about these things? What about that makes sense to you? And what about that, you know, doesn't really resonate with you or you think is incomplete? How would you fill that in? I'd love to know. Right. And if they just kind of like go and they tell you some stuff, like that's like actually like trying to like communicate like information and have like a conversation and have both of you, if you enter at this level of knowledge and I enter at this level of knowledge, we both end up higher. Right. Maybe we're not like much more, you know, educated when we, you know, entered than when we left. Right. But or left. We're not much more educated when we left than when we entered. But the whole point is we're both more educated. We both are to some extent. That's what happens when you approach things trying to have a conversation. You could say, some people might say arguing to convince. I don't even think you're arguing. Just like, I don't think the idea of arguing the connotation and like thinking about it, I don't think there's ever a point. Oh, okay. Most of the time, approaching things trying to have what you would consider an argument is probably counterproductive or not very useful unless you're like literally trying to, even then, like I'm trying to think of like maybe it's some sort of like social thing where you're like, no, I want to like destroy this person to like show that I'm right and they're wrong, and like I'm using it as like a tactic, you know, in some sort of like battle, air quotes, against them because I don't like them and they're my enemy, or they're coming at me and they're trying to like do something. But even then, it's like it's better to just put yourself into situations and position things such that there's no negative outcome for you, or there are no true negative outcomes, things that might feel negative, but there aren't actually long term, like, you know, negative for you. And so if you can just make yourself anti fragile, so to speak, where just like there isn't anything that's going to like topple you and just like destroy everything, you know, positive you built, that's kind of like the better thing to do than to try and argue with anyone. The whole point is to say, if you approach conversations trying to like communicate and like learn things and like get to have like a fun time and like talk with people, like that just like leads to like a better world that's positive. You learn more, they learn more, they associate you with fun, you associate them with fun, everyone has fun. It's like a better environment and like you just have more fun. And like that's just kind of like, you know, people say karma, it's like, oh, what you put in, you get out. Like, and whether there's a metaphysical component or it's just like literally like, no, logistically, like if I approach things and I try and be nice and like kind and I try and treat others like I would like to be treated, golden rule, whatever, right? Iron rule of Farrell #1: treat others like you'd like to be treated. Like if you just approach things like that, uh, you know, you want to give people a reputation to like live up to. Like I'm right now, I'm assuming that you're enjoying the conversation. It's kind of fun for you. It's fun for me. And like you're actually thinking about this and going like, oh, you know, I haven't thought about this in that way. And this does make me realize like Finn McKenty didn't lie about anything, but Fantano is making this headline, is confusing his point, and it's making it less likely to actually make me sympathetic to what he's saying because he's lying. Like if someone like can make their point without lying and by telling the truth, or they can make the same point and then start lying for no reason, it makes you go like, well, I thought what you said was making sense, and I kind of agreed with you, but then I started noticing you lying, which makes me go, why are you lying to me? Which is exactly what he says. Finn says he lied about everything. Finn lied about nothing. Finn always said, I was a designer, whatever, marketing guy. I worked like Nike, shoes, a lot of big companies, like fashion, not fashion, but just like, you know, a lot of just kind of like bigger companies, worked in these places, marketing department, branding, these kind of things, really interested in that space in those fields. And I don't really like any of this music that I'm talking about. Like he would say that like all the time, or if you watch his podcast or you watch anything, he would say that pretty clearly. And so it's just kind of like he didn't lie about anything. And Fantano, you're telling me this guy's lying, and so you just kind of go like, okay, Fantano, like, do I believe you? Maybe this video that you've like put together is like deceptive, and what's telling me you're not lying with how you're showing this information, or you're trying to like make it paint a different story than really what he said. Like if I watched the whole interview, actually what he was saying was the opposite of this. Like how do I know you're not like being deceptive with this whole video, if you just started lying here, you just started casting moral aspersions, like the title's a lie. The title says he lied about everything. He lied about nothing. Finn McKenty lied about nothing. He lied about nothing, which is so weird. You can say he made, he probably made a business decision that, like, from the outside looks like there was decisions that he probably would make instead. Like, I don't want to say bad decision, but he just made a decision that doesn't make that much sense. From the outside looking in, maybe he just hates the thing so much, and actually he won the lottery. He didn't tell anyone, but he won the lottery. He has $1 billion now. And then you're like, well, if he has $1 billion now, then honestly, who cares about the channel? And if he didn't like it anyways, it's like, yeah, shut it down, right? Like, honestly, that could be the case. We don't know what his internal conditions are, right? What he's dealing with, what he's coming from. But from the outside, it looks like Finn did something that's just like suboptimal. Probably isn't going to be like leading to, you know, the most maximized enjoyment and utility of actions for himself. Like, even if you're saying he's totally interested in improving himself and his own well-being, even if sometimes it's at the expense of other people. What I would argue is most of the time, for lots of things, there isn't really this choice where it's like, oh, do I do something that's good for me or good for other people? There's usually like, oh, I can do things that are good for me and for other people. And really, especially when you take a long enough time horizon, like if you're looking over the course of a decade and like, what's this going to lead to long term? Usually doing the thing that's best for you and other people, even if it's like, okay, I can do something that's 10 out of 10 good for me and -5 for other people, or I could do something that's like 2 out of 10 good for me and 1 out of 10 good for other people. Usually when you like look over the course of like 10 years, it actually turns out the thing that you thought was 10 good for you turns out to be, because it did bad to other people over the long term, people like get irked by that. You could say like they feel like, wait a minute, you want to help me grow a personal brand, but you threw your whole personal brand away. And then you did this whole like podcast spree talking about like you didn't even like it. And like you completely undermined all your credibility when it comes to the audience that you built and everyone. So the whole reason you have a following and your whole track record is like something you threw away and is now ending with like a disaster, so to speak. Like this is if I'm like a business guy who's never heard of him looking at it. Then I go, wait a minute. Oh, so I should listen to you about personal brand because you built this really cool channel. Okay, what happened to it? Oh, I just told everyone I don't like you, and I kind of hate you guys, and you guys suck. And now they all hate me, and I'm just all in on this. I made enough money, so like screw them. Like what? If that's what you're going around saying, like, that's not going to lead to you doing good business for the next 10 years. Versus if you would have said, oh, yeah, I said, bye, guys. It was great talking to you guys this last year. Or even if you can't say that, don't lie. Whole point of the video. Fantano lied about Finn McKenty lying. And I'm trying to say, don't lie. So I guess I should make this video. Fantano lied about Finn McKenty lying. He lied about a thing, being that he lied about everything. The whole point to say is, if you look over a long enough time horizon, you doing a -5 thing to the whole audience you had, like doing things that are hurting other people, or like, whether it's emotionally or physically or mentally, if that's your track record and your reputation, like you're just going to make less money over the long term. Let's say we all become immortal tomorrow. They have some sort of cure for dying and aging. And it's like, you're just fixed at the age, and you actually have skin that's impenetrable. You never die. Your organs never fail. Well, then over the next 100,000 years, you're doing business. It's like, who's going to do better? Is it going to be the guy who like screws over anyone who like is his customer or works with him whenever he gets bored of it? Or is it going to be the guy who like, oh no, we had a good transition, new owners, and I actually got a big exit. So if you, business guy, build up a YouTube channel related to your business, but eventually you want to sell this business, I also can help you sell that channel, and you can make even more money from selling the channel and the business together to the new owner of that business. They'd be like, oh, wait, that's sweet. Okay. Versus they go, What happened with your track record? Oh, I told them I didn't like them, and I let the whole thing just kind of rot away. You're like, oh, well, that's like, wait, why am I hiring you then? Why would I work with you? And so even if you do get a couple clients and customers, like it's just the probability of you having good luck has gone down. The probability of you having bad luck has gone up by being like making things a win lose or a lose win instead of win win. If you can make things win win, just do that. So even if you're trying to just be totally selfish, you could say that like Ayn Rand would say. Ayn Rand was a philosopher, writer. Um, she got into this whole idea that morality is objective, and and that gets very convoluted. But even if you don't even look at that, you just look at her basic thing is that like there's nothing wrong with people being selfish in the sense that people try and live life such that everything goes as good for themselves as possible. Like if I want to like have a really good life, okay, well I probably want to have like friends and family that I love. Okay, so then like I need to balance me like eating a bunch of food and like not sharing with like I want to have a good relationship with them and they'll be nice to me and share with me later. So like let me share with them. Let me be nice to them. It's like, oh, that builds in like accounted for that is like, oh, I want to be nice to people as much as possible because that just increases the odds that people are going to be nice to me and that they tell other people how nice I am so that when people come to me, they already like me. They already want to like give me money by doing business with me or they like want to work with me on stuff. It's just like that was like kind of her argument is like, yeah, like people being selfish in the sense that they're trying to like do things that are the best for themselves, especially if you look at the whole, you're thinking about your whole life, like, oh, I want to do what's best for me. Like that gets people to behave in the way that is the most moral. And so, but like, even if you don't go that far, what I'm trying to say is like, whether you look at it through the lens of selfishness or like what's good for the community or what's like good for your soul. I think Finn made unwise business decision here in the end of the day. I think even if you are going to do the thing that Fantano would still say is wrong, which is making a channel for money on a topic that you don't like, um, if you would have sold it to someone and had someone else take over, or even if you just gave it for free to someone, had them take over, that would have been smarter because you have a legacy to point to. And then if the channel goes down after that, you can say, oh, yeah, my channel went down after that, the past thing I was worked on. That's because the new guy just wasn't as good. And he was doing well at first, but, he did drugs or whatever, and it just kind of went down. You're like, oh, okay, so no one blames you. Like, if you're being selfish, like, that's smart. So even you could be wrong, as Fantana would say, because you did something for the money, but not for the love. I would say I just personally wouldn't do that. I personally wouldn't do something for money that I hate just because I'm like such a kind of like passionate person and I can make so much more productivity and so much more money, but also like I can help contribute so much more if I'm doing things that I like and I'm passionate about, right? So like those are just kind of the things that I would focus on, right? Like I would just do those things because even if I make less money, like I'm gonna enjoy what I'm doing, but also I'll eventually find a way to like make more money if I want to, doing things that I like doing. Like, duh. Like, it's why I'm talking on the podcast right now. I like talking about rock music. I like making rock music. So, yeah, so like that's just kind of where it's at. And yeah, it's just funny. It's just funny, dude. I'm so excited to see this video when I edit it. Quick aside, like, I've got the Witchfinder General on the back. The lighting looks so good. I haven't looked at my lighting in a while. I really hope this looks good on camera. So I want to hang this Oingo Boingo on this Nine Inch Nails. You probably can't see it, but it's down here underneath the Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four, which you also probably can't see. But I want to hang those, or I'm going to hang one right there, and I want to hang one on the other wall. But I'm super excited to go do that. I got to like get cardboard or something. I've got some Funko Pops. I don't really want to put the Funko Pops in though, because I feel like that's like it's a little cringe. Maybe when I do like videos about okay, I like love like comic book like movies and TV and stuff like that. I'm not a big super big comic reader just because like I don't have the money or the time yet, and like I'm super critical on myself, and I really like. But also, I'm just like really excited to do the rock stuff and like build a career. Because if I can build a career doing rock stuff, it's like, oh, now I have the money to like buy all the comics I want, and I have like a house in which I can keep them, and like I have a bookshelf or like even like a condo and like a bookshelf where I can like pay for the subscriptions to read all the comic books. Anyways, total aside, yeah, Fantano. I mean, you're probably also a nice guy. I think you probably, might more attract. But yeah, I can't honestly. The guy's got the career he wants to have. If he wanted to have a different career, he would do it. So it was not really my place to like tell him what to do. But 1.9 million subscribers. Good for you, Fantano. And yeah, I just wouldn't make. I would probably. I don't know. Yeah, I'm a different person. I personally am going to make stuff that I think is better, and you personally are going to make stuff that you think is better than what I'm going to make. So that's the beautiful thing. It's a win-win in this world. I can make this video saying I think Fantano lied, that Finn McKenty lied. You know what? Maybe I'll watch this back and I'll remember that, oh, wait, there was a point in the video where Finn McKenty did lie, but I don't see him lying. I see Finn McKenty every time he's in a video saying, I don't like this band. I don't like this kind of music. I'm not a fan of this kind of music, but according to the fans, this is what happened. The music got worse or the music got better. Yeah, I think he probably did something that was kind of like short-sighted transition or ill-conceived. But also, then again, it could be wrong. Like if he got $1 billion, or like something happened, or he's got like a big deal lined up that's already in place and he's already making good money from it, like then, peace be with him. I don't know. Like I think it's like a thing Mormon people say, but peace be with him, right? That's my view of it. Like good on you, man. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's kind of where I'm gonna end it here. My name's Connor O'Farrell. I'm bringing back rock. That's what we're doing here. So if you want to see rock, I have a band called Black Licorice. Right here is a little. That's our song "Down the Drain." That's the cover for our song. It's the album artwork. That's a little vinyl single, and we're on Spotify. We're on Apple Music. We're on YouTube. We're everywhere you can find us. Please like, subscribe, follow here, and in the comments, tell me what you think. Should I make some punk rock NBA type videos for bibliography on bands? But I would probably just be like, this is my take on my band. These are my recommendations of songs you should check out. Like maybe should I make how to get into blank? Like how to get into blank. How to get into System of a Down. And I'll tell you like first record, this is the environment you got to be in. This is the headspace you got to be in. This is who should listen to it. This is who should not listen to it. This is what you need to know for System of the Down if you want to get into System of the Down properly. And instead of Finn McKenty, I would just do like bands I liked, but I'd also go like bibliography. I'd like pull up Wikipedia and like be like, oh, this. And yeah, so I think I have my answer. How to get into blank. Let's write that down. How to get into blank. Let's go example. Sample. Oh, Arctic Monkeys. Like that's a great one. Monkeys. And it would be System of a Down. Anyways, yeah, thank you guys for watching. I think I'm going to do a review of Creature Commandos episode 4. So that's probably either out already or is going to be out. Fantano, thank you for watching. I know you're my faithful subscriber. I know you never told me, but I know you are. And Finn McKenty, you responded to my DM once. Yeah, that was neat. Thank you. And yeah, have a good night. Definitely in the comments, tell me, should I make what kind of series, what kind of episodes, what kind of stuff would you like to see? And if you ever want to reach out to me, do it in the comments. No one's commenting right now. And yeah, rock on.